All the students, so today we are back again here with a new video session. So yesterday also we had done the video series, that was the introductory part for the chemistry. I started with the introductory session. I had given you all the topic contents. So total number of chapters for the chemistry is 16. So in that 16 chapters we have the number of chapters which are very big, and some of the chapters are very small, right? Okay, so today's session will be discussing this 4 points. The 4 points are paper pattern for chemistry, practical syllabus, then practical marking scheme, and important topics to focus for our board exam. Okay, my dear students, before beginning with the session or the introductory session, I would like to tell you one thing to all the students, that my reason being choosing the YouTube video platform is over the Zoom app. See, there are a number of disadvantages in the Zoom app. In a Zoom app, the very first problem is connectivity. There is a very less connectivity, and the second most disadvantage is anyone can use your ID, or the students can send the ID anywhere else, and any person can get into a meeting. So that is one of the most disadvantage, I think. And the third most disadvantage, I think, that is the person can go and share his or her screen. That is the most disadvantage. So that is why I think that Zoom app is not a better app compared to a YouTube. But if we talk about the YouTube, I can upload the video very fast and I can make a lecture series, right? And the most important thing, or the most advantage of the YouTube videos, is you can go back, rewind it again and again, and watch the video again and again, right? So that is a very useful tool, I will say, right? So YouTube is a very good platform. So we are going to start our lecture. So in our today's session, we will be discussing this 4 points as I told you. So in the paper pattern for chemistry, we'll talk about this first. So in the paper pattern for chemistry, as I told you, in the month of September, October last year, in the year 2019, we had a meeting in a board for all the chemistry teachers regarding the new syllabus for the chemistry, right? So for which I had already updated you with this, whatever the contents of the practical paper pattern for chemistry, what it is, right? But again I want to rewind it. Again I want to tell you what is the paper pattern if anyone has missed it out, those lectures. So paper pattern for the chemistry is our chemistry theory paper is 70 marks. Right? Our chemistry theory paper is for 70 marks, and our paper pattern is divided into 4 sections. Section A, Section B, Section C, and Section D. Right? So we have a 4 sections: Section A, Section B, Section C, and Section D. Now in the section A, we have a MCQ and VSA. So you all know what is MCQ and what is a VSA. So VSA are a very short answers. It is just a one-line answers you have to give in the exam. Now section B deals with a essay 1, right? Section C deals with a essay 2. And section D deals with the LA. So what is the essay 1, essay 2 and LA? Essay 1 means short answers 1, and essay 2 means short answers 2, and LA means long answers, right? So this is a kind of a CBSE pattern, what you might have, especially the CBSE students might have been familiar with this particular paper pattern. Okay, now talking about the marking, for section A we have a 1 mark allotted for the section A, 1 mark each, and in section B is allotted for 2 mark. Section C is allotted for 3 marks each, and section D for 4 marks. Right? So you might have got the rough idea how the paper pattern is. Section A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3 and 4 marks. Right? Now let's discuss the paper pattern in detail. So section A, in section A starts from the question number 1. Under the question number 1 we have a sub question 1 to 10. That will be for 1 mark each. 1 mark each means that will be equals to 10 marks, right? Then question number 2, that will be sub question 1 to 8. That will be 1 mark each. That is equals to 8 marks, right? So I hope that you might have understood the total section A becomes 18 marks, right? You might have got the idea about this. Okay, now let's talk about the section B. So in our section B, it starts from the question number 3 till question number 14, and you get here option any 8 you have to attempt out of 12, right? So in this case, this will be for 2 marks. So 2 into 8, that will be equals to 16 marks, right? Then talking about section C, in the section C, we'll begin from the question number 15 till question number 26. That will be again any 8, that is 3 into 8 equals to 24 marks. And section D will be from question number 27 to question number 31. That will be equals to any 3. It is also any 3. That will be equals to 4 marks each. So 4 into 3 is equals to 12 marks. So now when you add this, 18 plus 16 plus 24 plus 12, that is equals to 70 marks. So this is our practical, or this is our paper pattern for our chemistry, right? So this particular paper pattern is also similar for physics as well as for the biology. But regarding the mathematics, you have to confirm with your mathematics teacher that whether the paper pattern is same or different. Okay, now let's move ahead. Now I'll be talking regarding the practical syllabus. Practical syllabus. So I would request all the students to note down the practical syllabus, and as we know that our new syllabus is going to come, or it has already come, but I think that there will not be a much change as far as practical is concerned, right? So the practical is going to remain same, right? Okay, now here let's start with the first practical. That will be volumetric analysis, right? So you all might be quite familiar with the volumetric analysis. Volumetric analysis is also called as the quantitative analysis, right? Here we do the determination of the volume. So how to determine the volume, we have to learn this in the volumetric analysis, and this practical will be for 10 marks compulsory practical in your exam, in your board exam. So remember, if you are going to undergo the board exam, everyone is going to get the volumetric analysis. So last year we had already learned the volumetric analysis. Now you might be having a question that sir, that what is the difference between the volumetric analysis in the 11th standard and in the 12th standard? Now let me tell you one thing, that the difference is last year we used the acid and bases and the indicators, but this year we are going to use the different kinds of compounds, and we are going to heat the particular whatever the contents we are taking. In the last year we did not use the heating experiments, but this year under the volumetric we are going to use the heating experiments, right? So that is the only difference, but it is going to be a little bit higher level, right? Okay, so we'll extend, sir. Then second practical second practical is thermochemistry practical. Thermochemistry practical. Under thermochemistry practical we have enthalpy of or it is also called to be enthalpy of neutralization. Then second practical, enthalpy of KNO3. Third practical, enthalpy of displacement of copper by zinc, right? So these are going to be a very important practicals. This all practicals will be for 8 marks, except this one will be for 10 marks, right? So this enthalpy of KNO3 will be for 10 marks, and enthalpy of and enthalpy of displacement will be for 8 marks each. I hope that you might have understood which practical is for 10 marks and which practical is for 8 marks. Now here the question comes, what is enthalpy, right? So last year also we had learned that the number of terms. So one of the term we have been frequently using, that is the enthalpy. So in this case, enthalpy is nothing but the total heat content of the reaction is said to be the enthalpy. Now for example, if any of the reaction takes place, some amount of the heat is either evolved or some amount of the heat is either absorbed. So whenever the heat is evolved or absorbed, we say that it might be either exothermic reaction or it might be either a endothermic reaction. So evolving and absorbing of the particular heat is calculated in terms of enthalpy, right? I hope that it might have been clear to you what is enthalpy. Okay, then we go further, practicals. So this is first, second, third, four practicals we have finished. Fourth one is acidic radical detection. So we have to detect the 2 acidic radicals, right? Now let me tell you, in the 11th standard we had learned about the detection of a 1 cation and 1 anion, right? So what is a cation? Cations are positively charged particles. What is an anion? Anions are negatively charged particles, right? So here, this year we are going to learn anions separately and cations separately. So we have to detect 2 anions and we have to detect 2 cations separately. So this will be a separate practical, and next one will be basic radical. So detection of a 2 basic radical and detection of a 2 acidic radical. So this will be the practical. Now what is the acidic radical? Acidic radicals are nothing but the radicals which are obtained from the acid are said to be the acidic radical. Now for example, we can take HCl gives H plus Cl minus. So this Cl minus is nothing but the radical obtained from the acid. Now what is the basic radical? Basic radical is a radical which is obtained from the base. Now let's take Na plus OH minus, right? So here Na plus becomes the basic radical, right? So they are also called as the cations. Cations are positively charged particles, so sodium contains the positive charge. Anions are negatively charged particles, so that is why chlorine is containing the negative charge, right? So now talking about the marking scheme, acidic radical is for 8 marks and our basic radical is for 10 marks, right? Okay, now talking about the next practical, This is also a very important practical, that is carbohydrates, fats and proteins. So yesterday only in my introductory session, I had already told you in the chapter biomolecules that what is carbohydrate, fats and proteins, right? Carbohydrates are nothing but the best sources of the energy. They are one kind of a sugars which are present in the body. Then fats are useful for the body. Proteins are useful for the muscle growth. So this particular we have to do the detection in our lab. So how we are going to do? We are going to take a certain substances. For example, we will be taking a starch for the detection of the carbohydrates. Then we will be taking the albumin, egg albumin for the detection of the proteins. And then for the fats we will be taking a groundnut for the detection. So we have to calculate, or we have to find out that whether the particular given substance contains a carbohydrate, fats or proteins. So in this case, let me tell you one thing, students, that in the exam you might be getting either carbohydrates, either fats or either proteins, right? So this is how it is going to be, and this will be a very short practical that will be for 2 marks. Then coming to the next one, next practical will be functional group practical. Next will be functional group practical. In the functional group practical will be for 2 marks, right? So you all know that the in organic chemistry each and every compound has been given a one kind of a functional group. So functional group is nothing but the identification of the compound, right? So that based on that particular functional group, the particular compound can be identified. So we have to detect the functional group in the given compound. Now what can be a compound given? It may be a ketonic, it may be a aldehydic, or it may be a alcoholic, right? So this kind of a particular functional group can be given. Also along with this carboxylic acid also can be given. So this is about your functional group practical. Okay, now let me tell you one more important thing which is missing out. Actually I forgot to tell you at the beginning. That is a compulsory one. So let me first discuss that. So here class record. Now here what does the class record means? A class record means a journal, right? In the year you will be having a journal where you will be writing all the practicals in your journal. That is said to be a class record. So in a class record you will be writing all the practicals. For that you will be getting 2 marks, right? Then Viva will be for 3 marks. See, Viva will be for 3 marks. So whatever the practical you get in your examination, board examination, for that you will be getting a 3 marks Viva. The question will be very basic questions will be asked in the exam. They will be asking you what is the volumetric analysis, what is pH scale, what kind of a chemicals you are using, what apparatus you are using in the exam. So it will be a very basic questions will be asked in the particular Viva. But the only thing you have to prepare thoroughly yourself for the Viva. Okay, next it will be a project. That is said to be a investigatory project. Now board is expecting here that you choose one of the project for the exam, board exam, and you have to perform that project in the lab. As I know that last year in our 11th standard we could not do with the project, investigatory project, but this year we will try to complete the project in our lab, right? So that will be for 5 marks, right? So this is our Viva project. So this is 2 marks, 3 marks, 5 marks. So it becomes a 10 marks total. So this will be a compulsory one, 10 marks total, and volumetric 10 marks, and basic radical 10 marks, acidic radical 8 marks, and enthalpy experiments 8 marks, right? So this is how our practical will be, and carbohydrate, fats, proteins and functional group will be 2 marks. Now remember how you will get the questions in the exam. Either you will get 10, 10, 10, 30 marks practical exam. That means you might be getting 10 marks class record, then 10 marks volumetric analysis, 10 plus 10 20, and basic radical 1 10. That becomes your 30 marks, right? Then what is the second chance you might be getting a practical? 10 marks class record, 10 marks will be for volumetric analysis, and 8 marks either acidic radical or thermochemistry practical, and 2 marks will be either carbohydrate practical or functional group practical. So it might be a 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 8 plus 2, like this, right? So I hope that you have understood a total 30 marks practical will be given. So in short, what I can summarize is your chemistry theory will be for 70 marks and practical will be for 30 marks. That becomes total 100 marks for your board exam, right? So similar kind of a story you will see for other subjects as well, but for that you have to discuss with the other teachers regarding it. Okay, now for this today's session I would like to close this. We will continue with the next video. Close.